Welcome to our next violin lesson. Now, this lesson is going to be covering number 89 in the Essential Elements book. If you take a look, this one's called Violin Cabbage Down, the orchestra arrangement, and it's the American fiddle tune. You can play this one either by yourself or with a group of other people. However, you really see fit. It doesn't really matter. So, the cool thing about this one, right off the bat, we have a pretty repetitive rhythm. Okay, so if you take a look, the rhythm that we have is quarter, eighth note, quarter, eighth note, right? So that is what we are going to be working with pretty much the entire thing. Now, keep in mind, the only time that the rhythm is a little bit different, obviously because of the quarter rest, is at the very end, okay? So that is where we have the quarter rest. Now, keep in mind also as well, we do have a repeat, so you just want to make sure that you're observing that, all right? Okay, so first of all, before we start this one, let's talk about that rhythm. Now, I'm going to take this at kind of a, we'll say a little bit of a somewhat faster tempo, but we're still going to keep it slightly slow. So we'll just keep it bum, 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 and we'll just kind of keep it like that. Okay? So, first of all, let's get a feel for what that rhythm is. So you have quarter, eighth note, quarter, eighth note. Okay, so let's just try that on an open string. You could do it on any string you want. I'm going to do it on an open D string. So here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and go. And. Good. All right, now let's try that again. One more time. Okay, so with me. 1 and 2 and ready, go. And. One more time with me. Let's make sure that we absolutely got it. All right, so here we go again. 1 and 2 and ready, go. And. All right, now we're going to try and do that same rhythm a couple times over because, again, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we got it and that we have it nice and memorized. All right, so let's try that again. And we're going to do it a couple of times over. All right, so here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go. And. One thing to note about this one is that this can also be a really good bowing exercise because as you're moving the bow, first of all, make sure that your wrist is making this slight bend, all right? So make sure that you're doing that. And the right hand and the right arm should feel just very relaxed, very loose. Bum, 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 bum. You want to make sure that it's making this kind of motion, okay? All right, so let's get on to some of the notes that we have here. All right, so I am going to try this measure by measure. Since this one's fairly easy and you've got so many repeating notes here, it makes this one ideal for measure by measure practice. But if you have to use note by note practice, either or is fine, as long as you have some sort of way to practice. For some, it might be note by note. For others, it might be measure by measure. So however you see fit, you'll know which practice strategy is best for you. Okay, so let's try that first measure. We just have F sharp. So first of all, let's find that note. Bum. Okay, all right, so one more time. All right, so there is our note. Okay, so let's try it. 1 and 2 and ready, go. And. And that's it. There's our first measure. Now let's try the second measure. So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go. And. Okay, one more time. Let's make sure that we absolutely got it. One more time. Ready, go, and. All right, now let's try the next measure. Now, the cool thing about the next measure is that it's exactly what we had in measure 1. By the way, I'm playing part A, all right? So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, now let's try measure number 4, again, part A. This one we just have E's. So here we go. Ready, go, and. All right, so there is our measure number 4. Now back to, I'm sorry, not back, but into measure number 5. Now this one has the same thing as what we had in measure 1 and measure 3. All right, so again, just a bunch of F sharps. So this one should be pretty easy. So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, now let's try the next measure. This one has a bunch of G's. All right, so here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, so there was our measure number 5. Now let's try measure number, I'm sorry, that was measure number 6, excuse me. Now let's try measure number 7. Now, measure number 7 is a little bit different because we have F sharps and we have E's. So just make sure that you're making that transition from the second finger to the first finger, okay? So what you've got essentially is. All right, so F, 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 E, E, E. All right, so let's try that. So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, let's try that again one more time. All right, just to make sure that we got it. Okay, here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, and finally measure number 8. Super easy because all we have now is just open D. All right, so here we go. Ready, go, and. Rest, okay? And make sure that you're coming off that quarter note just nice and easy. The very last quarter note. Just like that. We don't need to elongate it for too long, okay? Just nice and short, enough to where we can hear the note and it makes a nice resonating sound, but it also doesn't sound like we're trying to make it too long either, right? So it's just bum, 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 and that's all we want. Sorry, my voice cracked a little bit. All right, now let's try the first measure and the second measure, okay? And we're gonna try putting both of those together now, okay? So here we go. So I'm going back to the beginning of part A. So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. Okay, now let's try that again. This time try to follow me. All right, so here we go again. One more time. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, now pause the video right here and try to see if you can do it on your own, okay? And again, if for whatever reason you can't keep up with the tempo, and you can pick any tempo you want, by the way. You don't necessarily have to go to the tempo that I'm doing, but as long as you have some sort of tempo that you're keeping nice and consistent throughout the entire thing, make sure that you're doing that. Again, make sure that you're practicing just nice and consistent, also with a metronome as well, all right? Okay, so let's try that again together one more time. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, now we're gonna try measure number 3 and 4. So we're just playing F sharps and E's. Okay, so here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, let's try that again one more time. Try to follow me as best you can, okay? Slow the video down if you have to. That is perfectly fine. Here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, good. Now, let's try the next two measures. We have F sharps and we have G's. So we're practicing that transition going from the second finger into the third finger. Okay, so let's try that. Here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, so let's try that again one more time. Okay, try to see if you can keep up with me. Okay, here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, again, pause the video and see if you can keep up, and then try to, well, not keep up, I'm sorry, but pause the video and try to see if you can do it on your own. If you can't, then do it note by note. Slow practice is a very good way to learn things if for whatever reason you're not having the easiest time with it. All right? Now, finally, let's get into measures 7 and 8. All right? So we have F sharps, we have E's, and we have D's. All right? So let's try it. Here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Let's try that again. Ready, go, and. Rest, okay? So, let's try that again one more time. Let's see if we can get it. All right, so here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. Rest, okay? Now, pause the video right here and try to see if you can do those two measures. F, 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 E, 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 D, 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 rest, all right? Now, we're gonna try doing 3 measures at a time. So going back up to measures 1, 2, and 3 from the beginning of part A. So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, so there's our measures 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do the next 3. So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, and finally those last 2 measures to finish it off. Here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. Rest, okay? All right, so we've done 1 measure at a time, then we did 2 measures and 3 measures. Now we're gonna go on to 4 measures. And the cool thing about this is now that we're at 4 measures, we can pretty much play that entire first line, okay? So let's try that together with me. Here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go, and. All right, so that was 4 measures in the first line of part A. Now let's go ahead and let's do the second line, all right? So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go. And rest, okay? All right, now let's try that again one more time. So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go. And let me try that again. I'm sorry. One more time and rest. Okay? So now that we've gotten to 4 measures, try to see if you can do it by yourself. So again, pause the video right here and try to see if you can play the first line by yourself, and then try to see if you can do the second line. Do note by note if you have to. And then, once you feel that you're ready, then try doing measure by measure. In this case, doing 4 measures at a time. Do those as many times as you need to. You might have to do it 10 times, 20, 50, 100. It just depends. But as long as you're keeping it nice and consistent, that is what we want here. All right? Now, let's go ahead and let's try combining both of those parts now. Okay? So, here we go. 1 and 2, and by both parts I mean both lines, just so that way we don't get confused between parts A and part B. So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go. And rest. All right? So we're going to go ahead and end the video lesson here for today. If you need to, go back and pause wherever you feel that you might need in order to understand a little bit better some of the things that we covered with this lesson. All right? I will see you all on the next violin lesson.